A nervous young woman approached Tom Hanks during his private dinner at an upscale Los Angeles restaurant. Her hands were shaking. Her voice barely worked. She knew she was interrupting. She knew she shouldn't. What Tom Hanks did next didn't just make her night. It made the entire restaurant stop eating. 43 strangers witnessed something so unexpectedly gracious that when it was over, they did something almost unheard of in a high-end establishment. They applauded. It was March 2019, and the story of what happened that evening has been shared thousands of times since, because it revealed exactly why America trusts this man more than almost any celebrity alive. It was a Tuesday evening in Santa Monica, California, the kind of perfect March night that reminds people why they pay too much to live in Los Angeles. The restaurant was called Giorgio Baldi. If you know Los Angeles dining, you know the name. Tucked along the Pacific Coast Highway, it's been a quiet favorite of A-list celebrities for decades. The lighting is dim. The tables are spaced for privacy. The staff is trained to treat famous faces like ordinary customers. That's exactly why Tom Hanks loved it. He was seated at a corner table with his wife of over 30 years, Rita Wilson. They were celebrating nothing in particular. Just a Tuesday, just dinner, just two people who'd been married since 1988, enjoying pasta and conversation. At 62 years old, Tom Hanks had earned something almost no celebrity ever achieves. Trust. Not just fame, not just respect. Trust. 4 decades in Hollywood, 2 Academy Awards, dozens of iconic roles. And somehow, through all of it, not a single scandal, not one story of cruelty, not one former assistant with horror stories, not one co-star with complaints. In an industry built on ego and exploitation, Tom Hanks had become something impossible. He'd become America's dad, the kind of celebrity people actually believed was genuine, the kind who tips well and remembers names and treats crew members like equals, the kind whose public persona matches who he is when no one's watching. At least, that's what everyone assumed, but assumptions aren't proof. Proof requires witnesses. Proof requires moments when someone has every right to be annoyed and chooses something different. That's what made this particular Tuesday so significant, because sitting 4 tables away from Tom Hanks was a young woman named Sarah. We'll call her Sarah. She was 26 years old. I'm visiting Los Angeles from Ohio with her mother. They'd saved for this trip for 2 years. Sarah's mother was a massive Tom Hanks fan, had been since Big in 1988, owned every movie, quoted lines at family gatherings, talked about Tom Hanks the way some people talk about old friends. And now, impossibly, Tom Hanks was sitting 12 feet away. Sarah noticed first. She almost choked on her water. She grabbed her mother's arm and whispered. Her mother turned, looked, turned back. "Don't you dare," her mother whispered. But Sarah was already doing the math, already weighing the worst-case scenario against the best, already knowing she'd regret it forever if she didn't at least try. She had no idea she was about to witness something that would change how she thought about fame forever. For the next 45 minutes, Sarah barely touched her food. She watched Tom Hanks from the corner of her eye, watched him laugh at something Rita said, watched him pour wine, watched him gesture with his hands while telling a story. He looked exactly like himself. That's what struck her most. No entourage, no sunglasses indoors, no bodyguards hovering, just a man having dinner with his wife. "Stop staring," her mother hissed. "I'm not staring." "You're absolutely staring." Sarah looked down at her plate, pushed a piece of salmon around, looked up again. Her mother sighed. "Even if you wanted to ask, you can't. He's eating dinner. It's rude." "I know. He probably gets bothered constantly. He probably hates it." "I know. We are not going to be those people." Sarah nodded. Her mother was right. Of course she was right. You don't interrupt someone's private dinner. You don't treat celebrities like they owe you something. You don't. Tom Hanks laughed again. That warm, genuine laugh from the movies. The one that makes you feel like you're in on the joke. Sarah's resolve crumbled just a little more. The server came by their table. A young man, maybe 30, with the practiced calm of someone who'd served hundreds of famous faces. "How is everything?" he asked. Sarah's mother answered. Sarah barely heard. She was still calculating, still debating, still running through worst-case scenarios. What if he said no? What if he was annoyed? What if he made her feel stupid for asking? What if she spent the rest of her life wondering? 20 minutes later, the situation changed. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson finished their dinner. The server brought their check. Rita reached for her purse. This was it. The window was closing. Sarah watched as Tom Hanks pulled out his wallet, watched him place a credit card on the table, watched him lean back, relaxed, in no apparent hurry to leave. "Mom," Sarah whispered. "No, he's done eating. They're just sitting there. It's still rude. I'll never get this chance again." Her mother closed her eyes, took a breath. When she opened them again, Sarah saw something she hadn't expected: understanding. "If you're going to do it," her mother said slowly, "do it right, be quick, be polite. And if he says no, you thank him anyway and walk away. Do you understand?" Sarah nodded. Her heart was pounding. Her palms were sweating. Her mouth had gone completely dry. "I'll stay here," her mother said. "If this goes badly, I don't want him to think we're both crazy." Sarah laughed. It came out as more of a strangled sound. She stood up. The walk from her table to Tom Hanks's table was approximately 15 feet. It felt like 15 miles. She was aware of other diners glancing at her, aware of the server pausing mid-step, aware of the ambient restaurant noise seeming to fade. Halfway there, she almost turned back. What was she doing? This was insane. This was the exact kind of entitled fan behavior she'd always criticized. Celebrities deserve privacy. They're just people. They don't owe anyone anything. But her feet kept moving. Tom Hanks hadn't noticed her yet. He was saying something to Rita, leaning in, eyes crinkled with warmth. 10 feet away, 5 feet away. Rita Wilson saw her first. A flicker of something. Wariness? Resignation? Crossed her face. She'd seen this before, hundreds of times, maybe thousands. Tom Hanks followed his wife's gaze, turned slightly, looked up, and saw a 26-year-old woman with shaking hands and a terrified expression standing frozen beside his table. Sarah opened her mouth. Nothing came out. The moment stretched. 1 second, 2 seconds. The entire restaurant seemed to have gone quiet, though that might have been her imagination. Tom Hanks's expression was unreadable. Not angry, not annoyed, not welcoming either. Just waiting. Sarah tried again. "I'm so sorry," she managed. Her voice came out higher than normal, almost a squeak. "I know this is incredibly rude. I know I shouldn't be interrupting. You're having dinner with your wife, and I have no right to." She was rambling. She knew she was rambling. She couldn't stop. "But my mom is over there, and she's your biggest fan. She's seen all your movies, and we saved for 2 years for this trip, and I know you probably hate this, and I completely understand if you say no, but I just thought maybe, possibly, if it wasn't too much trouble." She ran out of air. Tom Hanks watched her, still unreadable. Rita Wilson watched her, still unreadable. The server had stopped moving entirely. 2 nearby tables had stopped eating. Sarah felt her face burning. This was a mistake. This was a terrible mistake. She should apologize again and leave. She should— Tom Hanks spoke. His voice was calm, measured, not angry, not annoyed. "Breathe," he said simply. Sarah blinked. "What?" "Take a breath," Tom Hanks said. "You're going to pass out." She realized she was holding her breath. Had been since she started speaking. She forced herself to inhale. "Exhale." "Better?" he asked. She nodded. "Good." He leaned back slightly. His expression had shifted. Something warmer was there now. Something like amusement. "Now, start over. What's your name?" "Sarah." "Sarah. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?" "Ohio. Columbus." "Columbus. I filmed a movie there once. Nice city. Cold." Sarah felt her heart beat slowing, just slightly. "You filmed there?" "Long time ago. The weather was terrible, but the people were wonderful." He glanced over at the table where Sarah's mother was trying very hard to look like she wasn't watching. "That's your mom?" "Yes. She's pretending not to look. She didn't want to come over. She said it was rude." "Smart woman." Sarah felt her face flush again. I know this is rude." "I'm so sorry. Sarah." She stopped. "You said your mom is a fan? Your biggest. She's seen everything you've ever done. She quotes your movies at Thanksgiving. She cried during Forrest Gump. She still cries. Every time." Tom Hanks was quiet for a moment. He looked over at Sarah's mother again, then back at Sarah. Rita Wilson was watching with a small smile now. "You know what I think?" Tom Hanks said. Sarah shook her head. "I think we should go say hello to your mom." Sarah wasn't sure she'd heard correctly. "I'm sorry?" Tom Hanks was already pushing back his chair, standing up, all 6 feet of him, rising from the table like this was completely normal. "Your mom saved for 2 years to come to Los Angeles," he said. "And she's sitting over there pretending not to watch because she didn't want to be rude. That's not a person who should be embarrassed. That's a person who should be met." He straightened his jacket, looked at Rita Wilson. Coming? Rita was already standing. Wouldn't miss it? Sarah stood frozen. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. She'd expected a polite no. Maybe a quick photo at his table. Maybe an autograph on a napkin. She hadn't expected this. Tom Hanks was already walking. Not toward her mother. Toward her mother. The restaurant had gone quiet now. Not imagining it this time. Actual silence. 43 people had stopped eating, stopped talking, stopped moving, watching. Sarah's mother saw them coming. Her face went through about 7 expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion, recognition, panic, disbelief. Tom Hanks stopped at her table, smiled that famous smile. "Hi," he said. "I'm Tom. I hear you're a fan." Sarah's mother opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. We breathe," he said. "Your daughter almost passed out too. Must run in the family." Rita Wilson laughed. It was a warm, genuine sound. "You should see what he does at airports. He once spent 45 minutes talking to a family from Nebraska. They were nice people," Tom Hanks said, "and they'd been traveling for 11 hours. He pulled out the chair across from Sarah's mother, sat down, like they were old friends catching up. "So," he said, "your daughter tells me you've seen all my movies. I need to know something important. Which one made you cry the most?" Sarah's mother finally found her voice. "Cast Away," she said. "When you lose, Wilson." Tom Hanks nodded solemnly. "People always think Forrest Gump, but Cast Away hits different. You spend the whole movie watching a man fight to survive, and then he loses a volleyball and it breaks you. It's about losing the thing that kept you sane." "Exactly," he leaned forward. "Nobody ever gets that." Sarah watched as her mother's nervousness melted away. Watched as Tom Hanks asked questions. Real questions, not polite celebrity questions, about her life, her job, her trip to Los Angeles. Rita Wilson pulled up a chair, joined the conversation, asked Sarah about Ohio, about her career, about what she'd seen in L.A. so far. At some point, photos were taken. At some point, the server quietly refilled water glasses. At some point, Sarah realized she was laughing. Actually laughing. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. Tom Hanks wasn't checking his watch. Oh. Wasn't giving signals that he wanted to leave. Wasn't performing generosity for an audience. He was just present. When they finally stood to leave, something unexpected happened. The applause started at the table nearest to them. A couple in their 50s who'd been watching the whole exchange. 3 soft claps that seemed almost involuntary. Then it spread. Another table. Then another. Then another. Within seconds, 43 strangers in an upscale Santa Monica restaurant were applauding. Not the polite, obligatory applause of a theater. Something more genuine, more spontaneous. They were applauding kindness. Tom Hanks looked genuinely surprised. He glanced at Rita, who was smiling, then at Sarah and her mother, who were both crying now. "Well," he said, "that's a first." He gave a small, almost embarrassed wave to the room. The applause continued for another few seconds, then faded. The server appeared with their check again. Tom Hanks signed it, tucked in the credit card receipt. Then he did something else unexpected. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a business card, handed it to Sarah's mother. "This has my assistant's email," he said. "When Cast Away's anniversary screening comes around next year, send her a message. I'll make sure you get tickets." Sarah's mother stared at the card like it was made of gold. "You don't have to." "I know I don't have to," he said. "That's why I want to." He shook her hand. Then Sarah's hand. Rita hugged them both. And then they were gone. Out the door, into the California night. The restaurant buzzed. Strangers compared notes. The server was telling someone what had happened. 2 tables were taking photos of where Tom Hanks had been sitting. Sarah and her mother sat in stunned silence. "That just happened," Sarah said finally. "That just happened," her mother confirmed. The story spread before they even got back to their hotel. Sarah posted about it that night. The post went viral within hours. Thousands of shares, hundreds of comments, every single one saying some variation of the same thing. Of course it was Tom Hanks. Only Tom Hanks would do this. This is why we love Tom Hanks. News outlets picked it up. Small ones first, then larger ones. Tom Hanks makes fans' night with unscripted restaurant visit. Inside the moment that made an entire restaurant applaud. Everyone wanted the story. Everyone wanted to share it. Because it confirmed something people desperately wanted to believe. That some celebrities are exactly who they appear to be. Within a week, the story had reached millions. Within a month, it had become one of those internet legends, the kind that gets referenced whenever someone asks if Tom Hanks is really that nice. The answer, apparently, is yes. Other stories surfaced. Servers and flight attendants and random pedestrians sharing their own encounters. A Tom Hanks helping a stressed father calm a crying baby on a flight. Tom Hanks returning a lost student ID he found in Central Park with a typed note. Tom Hanks posing for photos at a convenience store at 11 p.m. Still cheerful, still patient. A pattern emerged. Not of publicity stunts, not of carefully managed reputation building, just consistent, quiet decency. Over and over again. Year after year. The restaurant encounter wasn't unusual because it was an exception. It was unusual because someone happened to post about it. The server at Giorgio Baldi said later that he'd seen Tom Hanks do similar things before, multiple times. He just never talked about it. Neither did Tom Hanks. Years later, when asked about the restaurant incident in an interview, Tom Hanks seemed genuinely puzzled by the attention. "I don't understand why that's a story," he said. "A nice woman saved for 2 years to come to Los Angeles. Her daughter worked up the courage to say hello. What was I supposed to do? Tell them to go away?" The interviewer pressed. Surely he must get tired of the constant interruptions, the constant demands on his time and energy. Hanks was quiet for a moment. "Here's what I know," he said finally. "Fame is a strange accident. It happens to some people and not others, and it has almost nothing to do with who deserves it. But if it's going to happen, you have a choice. You can treat it like a burden, or you can treat it like a responsibility." He leaned back. That woman's mother spent 2 years saving money for a trip. 2 years! That's birthdays and holidays, and probably some sacrifices I'll never know about. And her daughter risked embarrassment to come say hello. That takes courage. Real courage, he shrugged. "The least I can do is be kind. It costs me nothing, and it might mean something to them." The story of the Santa Monica restaurant has become legendary in its own quiet way. Not because anything dramatic happened. Not because anyone was put in their place or destroyed or vindicated. Because it proved something simple. Some people are exactly who they seem to be. In an age of carefully managed public personas and manufactured authenticity, Tom Hanks offered something different. Consistency, reliability, the radical act of being genuinely kind when no one would have blamed him for being merely polite. Sarah's mother did email that assistant. She did receive tickets to the anniversary screening. She did bring Sarah, and when Tom Hanks spotted them in the crowd, he waved. He remembered. The lesson from that Tuesday night in Santa Monica wasn't complicated. It didn't require power or wealth or status. It was simply this: kindness costs nothing and means everything. And the people who understand that become legends. If this story of unexpected grace moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs a reminder that genuine kindness still exists in the world. Have you ever had a moment where a stranger's kindness changed your entire day? A celebrity who was exactly who you hoped they'd be? A small gesture that meant more than it should have? Share your story in the comments. Because sometimes the most legendary moments aren't dramatic. They're just human.